It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest, and I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person, because we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. And you see the new and improved Oval Office as it becomes more and more beautiful with love. You know, we handle it with great love. And 24-karat gold, that always helps too, right? But it's been a lot of fun. We're going over some of the beautiful pictures that were stored in the vaults that were for many, many years, in some cases over 100 years. They were stored in vaults of the great presidents, or almost great presidents, all having a reason for being up, every one of them. So it's very interesting. But I just want to congratulate you, and ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent, and I think we have a lot of things in common. We have some tough points to go over, and that'll be fine. We're going to also be discussing Ukraine, Russia, the war, because Mark wants it ended as quickly as I do. I think it has to end. We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight, and we will honor that, and we will stop the bombings, and they have capitulated. But more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore, and that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal, it was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately. And Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay? Do you have something to say about that, by the way? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah, this was always a freedom of navigation issue. Besides, these are a band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping, and the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And so I think it's an important development.
And we'll have, maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, we're going to UAE and Qatar, and that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada. With a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
Mr. President, Mr. President, is USMCA dead?
No, it was actually very effective and it's still very effective, but people have to follow it. So, that's been a problem. People haven't followed it. But it was a transitional step a little bit, and as you know, it terminates fairly shortly. It gets renegotiated very shortly. But I thought it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. And this was a transitional deal, and we'll see what happens. We're going to be starting to possibly renegotiate that if it's even necessary. I don't know that it's necessary anymore, but it served a very good purpose. And the biggest purpose it served is we got rid of NAFTA. NAFTA was a very unfair deal for the United States. Very, very terrible deal. It should have never been made. It was made many years ago, but it should have never been made.
Canada and the United States, would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada? Our neighbors in the world?
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man, and I watched him come up in a sense through the ranks when he wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you. But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen. Yeah, please.
What's the top concession you want out of Canada? The top concession you want out of Canada?
Concession?
Yes.
Friendship.
But that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada. My parents had relatives that lived in Canada, my mother in particular. And I love Canada. I have a lot of respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky, how good, the great one. You happen to have a very, very good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of respect. He is a big, tough cookie, too. Just broke the record. And he's a great guy, and we had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But now Canada is a very special place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, and Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. But Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state. Were you joking?
No. Well, I still believe that, but it takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada. But we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done that in the past. And part of that, as the President just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership, and I'll say this as well, that the President has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
And they have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
Why
Mr. President, I'm saying that what would it take to get the tariffs off of Canada?
Well, we'll be talking about different things. Look, we want to protect our automobile business, and so does Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to, we have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, Anwar has been reopened now. Anwar is probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but it's a lot. But we have tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy. We have energy. We have more than we can ever use, and more than we could ever sell, actually, and you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. It's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have. Most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages over other places.
Mr. President, when you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say, never say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us, and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens.
Mr. President,
China.
I was hoping you can clarify something. Earlier this morning on Capitol Hill, Secretary Bessent said that there had been no negotiations yet with China. You have said something different.
They want to meet, and they're doing no business right now. And those ships are turning around in the Pacific Ocean. Big turn. Those are big ships. Those ships take about 10 miles to turn. And, we lost $1 trillion to China on trade because of an incompetent president that we had who preceded me, grossly incompetent. You're finding it out more and more now.
Clarifying something you said on USMCA, is the U.S. prepared to walk away from that pact?
But what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person. And she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know what I'm talking about. But we had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal. And we ended it. We ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Mr. President,
I'll say a word on USMCA if I may, Mr. President. It is a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that are come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
Right.
On board.
During the campaign, Prime Minister Carney talked about the American betrayal. How do you react if Canada decided not to shop in the American store as much as before and decided to partner with other countries?
Well, we don't do much business with Canada from our standpoint. They do a lot of business with us. We're at like 4%. And usually those things don't last very long. We have great things, great product. The kind of product we sell, nobody else can sell, including military. Look, we make the best military equipment in the world, and Canada buys our military equipment, which we appreciate. But we make the best military equipment in the world by far. The missiles, the submarines, everything. Everything we have is really top notch. I rebuilt our military during our last term. Stupidly, we gave some away to Afghanistan, which shouldn't have happened. But that was, I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. It was just very incompetent people. But if you look, the man that's now at the head of our Joint Chiefs, he led the attack on ISIS for me. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs. And Raising Cane, he was unbelievable. And as you know, we defeated ISIS in 3 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. And he ran the campaign. I said, I like him, but I knew him before. I went to Iraq, and we agreed to a plan, and that was the plan. And as you know, we did it in record time. So we have the best equipment in the world. We have the best, a lot of things. And but Canada, it does a lot more business with us than we do with Canada. Yeah.
Mr. President, what changes would you like to see to the USMCA? Or what changes would you like to make?
We're going to work on some subtle changes, maybe. I don't even know if we're going to be dealing with the USMCA. We're dealing more with concepts right now. Look, right now, we're doing trade. We have trade. They're paying a tariff on cars and steel and aluminum. And I think we have a baseline of 10% or something like that for the tariffs. But we're getting along very well. Right now, going no further, but we have an agreement. We did something with even parts. You want to discuss that, Howard, with respect to Canada, which helps Canada out?
Sure. So we've made an arrangement with the car companies that 15% of their USMCA parts are included, and then 15% of foreign parts from the manufactured suggested retail price are not tariffed to help domestic manufacturing really thrive.
So it gave them a chance to be able to build their car parts factories if they're going to. A lot of these companies already have factories, and what they have to do is just fill them out. But they're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time.
Just to clarify, Mr. President, is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars?
Tariffing Canada. Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
What's the first thing? If Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. Respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st day. Secondly, we are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved, and this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation, but we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada, and we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very substantial. Thank you. Thank you very much.